Oh, I've clicked the button.
So we're maybe live.
We're live.
What's going on, everyone? It's Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. This is our live DFS show for the WGC Workday Championship at Concession. I think I got that title right, but not going to say it
WGC Workday
again.
Championship at the Concession
Oh,
Golf
there we
Club.
have it right on our model.
Yeah.
What's going on, everyone? Thank you for joining us live, or thank you for watching the replay. Hit that thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe to our channel if you have not yet already. All that stuff means a lot to us. Craig, what's going on? How's the week? Haven't talked to you since for a while, it seems like.
Yeah, good. I was just, before we started here, I was saying how hard it is to keep a decent haircut or a decent hairdo when I'm not wearing
Dude,
a hat. We
no,
up here in Canada, we're still fully no barber shop, no hairdresser, no anything.
yeah, tell me about it. Plus, I've had my daughter home for 3 days with a runny nose from daycare, so I look like crap, but I'm just gonna roll with it. This is like I've been looking forward to this all week. I'm having a beer. I'm kid free right now.
Your
We
wife
get
is
to
just
talk
laughing.
golf.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, we've spoken about this, I think, on other videos, but I do find these weeks harder. You know, the limited field WGC events, I find them
Yeah,
harder from a DFS point of view, but they're enjoyable enough for watching golf that I'll take the hit.
yeah.
I'll make the best plays that I can and roll with it.
For sure. And as I'm getting Discord notifications, our Discord link is in the description below. Come join us on our Discord channel. Good chat, good community, bounce around ideas, bounce around players' names, talk about who you like at the salary. It's just a really good and live tournament chat.
And
Really
the
good place to hang
gifts,
out.
really, it's all about the, or,
This is about the
yeah,
gifts and the memes,
gifs,
really.
gifts. I call them gifts because that's what they called. Um, yeah, no, should we jump into things? What's your
Yeah, so
strategy? What do you want
yeah,
to start with
I
here?
mean, no cut. This is my favorite. WGC match play is probably my favorite DFS week of all of them. You have to hand build to get, the March Madness bracket to work out. These these limited field no cut events, I just don't get going as much for them. It like everyone's good. There's 60, probably 60 guys that can legitimately win this. So I've been narrowing my player pool every week until I got to this week, and now I feel like I'm shotgun spraying a little bit again. Um,
I
but
think the big
I
thing, and I think you had mentioned this in the Discord, 72 and sunny. Oh
Steven,
man, Steven, that's the life. I couldn't go to a driving range if I wanted to. The big thing I find is that you have to hit winners. Like you need the people who like you
yeah,
need the
yeah,
winner
for
and you
sure,
need other
yeah,
guys in top 5 or 10
yeah,
because there's typically you can think if you've got say 10% of lineups with 6 of 6, then you're going to have a lot of people who have the winner who don't have
sure.
their guys
The
through.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but you just
Weekend
don't
players.
have that, and everyone's getting points all week long. So the floor of the worst players is higher, and so what you end up with is you need to have winners. You need to have a bunch of guys that finish
Yeah,
high. So
and sorry, go ahead.
it's tough because there's say you've got 5 people who have the best chances to win, but then if you need to get 3 or 4 guys up into, oh, you just gave me you froze for a sec with a real creepy look on your face. Um,
Sorry.
yeah, it's just tough to try to find that value, I think. So I took an approach this time that is a little bit different than what I've done previously in these, in the
Yeah.
CJ and Zozo and the WGC last summer. We'll see. We'll see whether it works.
The other thing I tried to kind of explain this on Discord, but it's harder when you're kind of typing with your thumbs and you're watching the Wiggles or Elmo or whatever. But when you talk about like stars or scrubs, high, low, or balance, I think kind of what you said, you need to pick the winner. So who do you think really like who do you like? Like who do you have a strong feeling that's gonna win? Is it looking kind of more mid pack at a Hovland? I'm really high on Hovland, so I think Hovland's gonna win. Then there's more merit to a balanced lineup, I think, from there. But if you think DJ is going to win, then yeah, you can go DJ and go all in the 7Ks. But you have to stick with who you think is going to win, and ultimately, like that comes down to
Yeah.
you. That's a gut
And I
call,
did a few different lineups in different ways, but my whole player pool I kind of built in one fashion, and then
Yeah.
we'll see whether it works out.
The other thing
So
I the other thing I did this week, another strategy thing. I feel like that I fell back to this. I've been getting a little bit away from it, but with a new course, we don't know how it's going to play. So I've built some lineups around narrative. So if it's about approach play, let's look at the best approach players in the planet. Let's go like a JT. Let's go Morikawa. Let's go Sergio, someone like that. And kind of build around that narrative. Is it like you need to be strong around the greens? Okay, we got.
I think
Patrick,
the other thing, so just in terms of a new course and what you potentially need to do, I while everyone else in my family was sleeping today, I had a quick watch of the No Lane Up, got onto the course this
I
week
saw
or something.
a minute or yeah,
And I mean, obviously it's totally different. They're not playing from the back tees, but they're good golfers. I think both of the guys who are playing are scratch golfers. So
right.
you get an idea at least of how the course may play. It's going to be a course that I think requires patience. So, it's just something to think about that.
So wait, was that an anti-Sergio take?
I was gonna. I was trying to bring it about in as nice a way as possible. That maybe Sergio is not the best play this week, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So maybe just start off. How many guys you got in your player pool, and then we'll jump in and work our way down.
It's messy. I told you guys, it's more of a shotgun and spray. I'm building around narrative, so I didn't make as many immediate cuts off the bat. So I actually have, this is bad, 20 lineups. I got 38 players.
38 players, and what's your highest owned player, percentage-wise?
50%.
50%, and lowest owned, you've got some 5-10s?
I got a bunch of fives. Yeah, okay. I got a bunch. Yeah.
So I have 25 players. My lowest owned, 20%. My highest owned, 30%. So essentially I took these 25 players and that I like the best, and I got as many different combos on them as I can. And we'll see whether it works. Just real quick, Myron, I think both Adam and I, we spoke, I think, briefly when the news was coming out yesterday. Yeah. This is on Tiger. First things first, and I said in the Discord, like, it's nice that they're saying that this is it's a leg injury and he's in surgery for his legs.
Not life-threatening.
Because it means that it hopefully is not life-threatening. Whether or not he golfs again, I don't know. I think obviously the important thing right now is that he was in a pretty bad car accident, and he's essentially going to be, I'm assuming at some point, walking away from it. Yeah. My whole thing. Anything else beyond that is just speculation.
He's alive. Next best thing is he's walking and could eventually run and play with his kids. Anything beyond that is just great. But you kind of learn those things as the day went along. You know that he's like stable. He was kind of responding and all that. You're like, okay, like that's kind of an exhale. And then you just kind of hope. Like, there's different reports about his ankle and his legs, and it's hard. I don't want to speculate, but I just hope he's good in the long term.
I'll get some medical insight for you guys and get back to you. Should we jump into it? So I've got 25 guys. Lowest is 20, highest is 30. So everyone's pretty tight. I'll let
how many 6 guys from 10K up? How many of those are in your player pool?
I've faded 2 guys.
Okay, and who's that?
JT and Rory.
Wow.
Which is shocking because there was like a bunch of tournaments last year when those were the only 2 from this range that I was playing, and I was just hammering those 2. So, JT and Rory. Essentially, you're fine there now. Your video is
I'm doing some like WandaVision, like black and white type different stuff. That's production quality right there.
Yeah, hey, what's up, PY? And it does sound like there will be a recovery. Just real quick, back on Tiger, people chatting there. I heard, or I read that he had to have a rod and pins inserted. Sorry?
Out. Rob Bolton tweeted Patrick Cantlay.
Patrick Cantlay. Huh. So get that. That'll change some things for me. I have 20% of him right now. Maybe that'll...
20% Patrick Cantlay too.
How easily can I pivot to Rory? I'll have to do some things with that. That's a little surprising. Do they have someone in or no? I saw that Brandon Stone was a late addition. I don't know who that was for, but
I think he was just qualified from. Sorry guys, I'm.
Okay, you look it up. I'll talk through. So JT, essentially, I still think the game is not where it needs to be for him to be out there winning this thing. Essentially, up in this range, I'm looking for people who are going to win. Tournament history is obviously great. Um, it's it's maybe it's a little bit I'm going to be missing here, but I'm willing to miss. I mean, you got to make your plays up here. I'd rather have Xander at 10-8. I'd rather have Tony Finau at 98. I just think these top three right now, DJ, Rahm, Xander, have such a high win probability and such a high floor. With JT and Rory, I do think they have got good bounce back win probabilities, but I don't like their floors, and that's ultimately why I stayed away from them.
I like all of them. I'm gonna have to figure out. So I actually had Cantlay 20%. He's my second highest owned in this range. My highest, I have DJ at 25%.
So you have all of them though.
I have all of them. Actually, I'll just go down the list. So I have DJ 25, and then Rahm, Xander, JT. I'm just at 10%. Rory's just in a single lineup at 5, but that might change with the Cantlay news because it's harder to pivot late. But yeah, I really like Cantlay. I think so. There's a comment there. Rory has done nothing in 16 months from Brandon. I think he kind of had the best Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Masters of anyone. Maybe DJ beat him, but he was incredible there. He just hasn't put that.
Well, and 16 months is going a bit
together.
far, I'd say. Like, I agree, he hasn't. I mean, he was number one in the world 12 months ago. He was on a tear where he wasn't finishing outside the top 5. Yeah, he wasn't. He ran up some wins in later 2019, but to me, ultimately, Rory's game is just not where it needs to be, like, for Rory level. That said, I always think both these guys, I always think they're quick bounce back candidates. But I think in this deep a field, I want, if I'm paying up like that, I want the floor of a Xander as well as the win equity, win probability. John Wiseman, Cantlay was, do you know what? He's out of the tournament. I don't know if it's an injury or what it is.
I don't know. I just I just got the tweet pushed through, and then I just commented there below. A lot of comments, kind of reading through, trying to catch up a little bit.
So essentially, you're playing all these guys above 10K. Well, you're going to figure out what you're going to do pivoting off of Cantlay.
Yeah, so I think DJ's still the best player on the planet, so I have 25% of him. I wanted Xander got pushed up a little bit in pricing, and it does seem weird that JT, Rory, even Bryson are below him. So I only got 10% of Xander.
You just got to jump on board the Xander's the top player in the world train.
He's not, but
he's not.
I like that hot take. No, he's not the best player in the world.
I said a top. I don't know if like the way DJ is playing right now, I don't think you can say he's the top. But exactly. Xander's going to be a world number 1 at some point.
Yeah, JT maybe the best iron player in the past however many years. So I'm playing him. Rory, I think if Rory can put it all together, the fact that he is the 5th price person in this field, I'll take a shot. So I only have him in 1. That's probably going to increase with Cantlay now. I don't know how to shift those lineups around. Maybe I'll go from Sergio down to like a Lowry or something. I don't know. Get some more salary there.
I think one of the big things I worry about with Rory right now is his approach play. This is something I spoke about last week when I had him as a fade. It looks like this course is going to be very demanding in terms of targeting, and if you don't get onto the right level, the right part of the green, it's going to be easy to fall off. It's one of these courses that looks like you can make a birdie and you can make a double. You can make a birdie, you can make a bogey, that type of thing. And I would like to see Rory's approach play be a little bit better before I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, I think I've seen, or the stats really kind of glare out from that like sawed off iron, kind of like the 75 to 100 type yardage, which is really weird because there should be no reason behind that. But
well, I've heard all kind of speculations, like it has to do with his angle, like his attack angle. But yeah, anyways, regardless, I don't know enough about swings to break down Rory McIlroy's swing and say anything's wrong with it.
But yeah, I like all of them. It's a WGC. They got 4 days. Any of them can score. I think Peck said it earlier in the chat. Birdies and birdie streaks and all the DFS points you can find are important. So if you look at birdie or better percentage, maybe that is a viable strategy. I did that for at least one lineup, but it's something I considered for all of them.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
you have 38 players. You basically can just keep anyone you want in your player pool here.
yeah, if that's it for 10K, I mean, I'm happy to move on.
Yeah, so I played tons of guys up here. So I have Bryson is not a fade for me this week. I kept him in. My next fade here is Brooks Koepka.
Yeah, so if we go to 95, let's go to 95. That's my next fade as well. My first fade actually is Brooks Koepka.
Your first fade of the whole, yeah, that's true. So I have, and this obviously my percentages will change as I figure out what I'm going to do with Cantlay. But Xander so far is the only guy I've had at 30, and then Finau is at 25%, and then the rest of these guys are just 20%.
Yeah, so I like a lot of guys up here. Bryson is 15% for me. I think that will increase with Cantlay as well. Finau, I like 20%. Hatton was one of my picks in our show.
Yeah.
I got to 20% there. And then just because I do like the people in the 9K range, Brooks was a fade. And I actually think Brooks, I think we kind of talked about it before. I think he kind of got lucky for his win, but he did play well. He played well. But I don't know if I've seen quite enough to think four-time major champion Brooks, you know?
Yeah, and that's what the thing with Brooks is that essentially still I think up here I want a better floor. Like if I can have Tony Finau and his second place floor, then I'll take that over Brooks Koepka and his missed cut. Yeah, it's not going to be a missed cut, but finishing lower than that. So yeah, the reason I'm jumping back on Bryson this week, I just think it's an upside thing. I think he does have a decent win equity. He's not going to miss a cut. I think if he had have made the cut last week, I think he probably would have found his way into the top 20. He just had a bad first round there. He looked like he had turned it around. I just don't. I'm not confident enough that he's not going to show up this week to have him as a full fade.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean Brooks. This is just where I started to have to make decisions, and Brooks
completely
didn't make
agree.
it.
Yeah, completely agree. Okay, I guess let's move on.
So Victor Hovland is my next 30% player. He's one of the guys I have at the highest rate. I just think I'm bullish on Victor Hovland right now. I think his game's in great spot.
Me too. The only thing, it seems like everyone's talking about it. It seems like everyone has picked either Hatton or Hovland this week, and they're one and done, or kind of the outright bets.
Just because me and Kevin both did.
everyone I know, all my brothers are doing it. Every single one of them.
Those are all the people that you know.
All my friends. Yeah, I got 25% of Hovland. I just think I haven't seen ownership. Ownership, I feel like, is kind of hard to predict this week a little bit.
Well, and that's the thing is there's so many people up here that I think ownership, I don't think there's going to be any people that attract absurd amount of ownership up here. I think it's going to be fairly balanced.
Yeah, I mean, so I think people can either go these guys as a second one in, or they can start here for a balanced lineup. And I think these are the two of the guys that could get some of the highest ownership in the entire tournament.
Yeah, so
but I got 25% Hovland. I like him. I think.
So then let's do the rest of the nines here. So Hovland through Morikawa. What's your situation?
Daniel Berger, complete fade for me.
I kept him
coming off the win. I picked him on. I think he was my fade on our pick sheet that was posted on Twitter. There's other guys. I think he kind of got that winner's bump. There's actually guys right below him that I like a bit more. I think I froze again, but there's guys below him I like quite a bit more. And
like Patrick Reed,
Webb. I like Webb quite a bit.
I faded him, full fade.
I got 25% Webb. I think it just seems like he got priced down because we haven't seen him. I don't really know why. If you click on Webb here, well, first off, his scoring average last 2 years, so that seems like he's getting discounted. It all looks good.
I do think with the scoring average, I do think Webb plays in a lot of these Birdie Fest tournaments that other guys don't play in. So I do take the scoring average with a bit of a grain of salt, but I hear you. I think that Webb is oftentimes underrated as being a top 10 player in the world. You know.
Yeah. What's he's ninth in the official golf rankings. He's 12th here. Like, It's just another thing I really like is it seems like nobody's talking about him. So
Hmm. So, and then Colin,
I got their one lineup. I got their one
that's how
lineup.
you get more than half the guys in your lineup. You
Yeah,
gotta
exactly.
sneak some. So I this is where I start to really get tight. So Hovland, Berger, Reed, I have all of those guys. Obviously Hovland is the highest owned, but both Berger and Reed still have over 20%. And then after Patrick Reed, so between Patrick Reed and Harris English at 7,500, I only have three players.
Whoa, from Patrick Reed to Harris English, you have three
I
players?
only have three players in my
That's
pool.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Again, so people watching now, if you just joined, Patrick Cantling has been listed out. He's a withdraw. Um, don't know why. Get
Yeah.
him out
So
of your lineups.
I went full fade on Webb, full fade on Morikawa, and then if we want to jump into the eights,
I guess that's it for nines. Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, I anyone 9K and above. I'm seeing some webcam do WGCs or he's too short. That I don't
like
really.
he's too short or like off the tee he's too short.
Whoa, no, he's
Because
off the
Rory's
tee
not
too
that
short.
tall, but he's pretty darn long.
Yeah, same as Xander. um, yeah, that's fine. If Webb's under 10%, I love that. Like,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
can go out and get a top
Well, and
five.
this is why I struggle so much with these with this WGC is because there's first off there's so many good guys, but then there's such a small field that like essentially you just have to decide where you're not going. And
Yeah,
for me, I decided that I felt like Patrick Reed and up, there's a lot of win equity up there, and then I want to with those guys I want to plug in what I think are the best value guys, and so
yeah,
I just skipped a huge range here because I didn't want to go all the way down. Like I didn't. Essentially I wanted to plug in a few guys, say two or three guys 9K or above, and
yeah.
then not have to go all the way down to match them up.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So I actually did skip a good portion here as well. I got Fleetwood and Sung Jae Im both at 15%,
Hmm.
89, 8,800. And then I'm all the way down to Hideki, so that's a complete fade of Cam Smith, Max Homa, Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, so I've still faded all of these guys. So
So
I,
basically, Cam Smith, I like I like what he did at the Masters. I
yeah,
like what he did last week, but it did seem priced up. Same with Max Homa coming off the win. It seems a little bit priced up. Same with Matthew Fitzpatrick. I think Fitzpatrick might be my biggest regret of fading this because he can kind of. I feel like he gets up for these kind of tournaments, but
see, my biggest regrets, I feel like if it's not someone like JT Rory, who depending on Cantlay, I might end up plugging in some, but I think it'll be for me guys down low because that's where I had to figure out who I was going to keep in my pool to pair with my high guys.
yeah.
I just decided that basically from Pat, I don't have anyone from Patrick Reed, and then Scotty Scheffler is my next play at 83.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I got Hideki in one lineup, and then yeah, I went to Scotty Scheffler. I got 15%.
and ultimately, like I think Webb and Colin Morikawa, I actually think the way that from what I saw in the course this afternoon when I watched that video, I don't mind those approach type players. I don't know
Yeah,
how distance will factor in, but it really does look like hitting to your target is going to be a key thing. I
yeah,
just yeah, I mean, I had to look elsewhere. Similar, I think, with Sungjae, where he can be accurate. He's long enough, but ultimately, I
yeah.
just the strategy I took this week, I stayed away from this entire range in terms of pay. So um,
Yeah, I mean, he just happened to be another guy that I feel like is just getting talked about all the time
and
this
I do
week, and I,
agree.
I I
There's
don't
some
like that.
chatter in the chat here about Colin Morikawa's putting. So that is definitely something that I am wary of right now.
Yeah, of course,
Um,
100%.
of course, obviously. So
Well,
so Scotty Scheffler, and then I had so this is I said there was three guys between Patrick Reed, Scotty Scheffler, Joaquin Neiman, and
yeah,
my boy
figured.
Will Zalatoris is in there.
So I got Adam Scott in one lineup again, not much, but I have a big player pool this week. I got Adam Scott in one, Neiman.
So do you just get scared that like if Adam Scott wins and you don't have him, but like aren't you worried that you only have him paired with 5 other randos?
Not really.
Yeah, you just roll with it.
I mean, yeah. If you join us late, no cut limited field events are my favorite.
Aren't your favorites?
I feel like we are not.
Yeah,
I feel like we lose some leverage, some opportunity to gain on the field, but. So
Adam
I'm trying
Neiman, you were
things.
saying.
Yeah, I got 25.
25. Yeah, so Neiman, well, I guess Zalatoris I have at 30%, and then Neiman's 20. But essentially, Scotty Scheffler, Neiman, and Zalatoris in this range, I think just it's an upside thing. I think those guys do have top 5, top 10 upside, and obviously, I think everyone in this range does. But I just feel like those guys potentially are hitting it more than others.
So does that mean that these guys, Zalatoris, Craig, complete fade for me?
How do I end this stream? What's the?
You can't throw him above these guys: Louis, Jason Day, Justin Rose. These guys have more wins than he has starts on the professional circuit. Like, give me a break.
I don't care how. Like, if we look at when they've played together in the last 6 months, he probably beat them most of the times they were partnered in the same events. Oost is probably the one I had the hardest time leaving out.
Yeah, so this is where
I think you still grossly underestimate Will Zalatoris as a ball striker if you're going to full fade him. The other thing, if you're putting in any FanDuel lineups, check him out there because he is disastrously underpriced.
8,800.
So I like him even more over there. But yeah, I think we just have a different opinion on Will Zalatoris.
So, yeah, probably. I don't know what else to say. Like,
I don't think there's anything more that needs to be said.
I think he's a talent. I think he's probably the best. He is the best player of this year to come out of his class. But you can't tell me gold medal winner in Rio 2016 Justin Rose has a less likely chance to win than Zalatoris.
I mean, I would say yes. I would say that maybe Rose might have a slightly better chance to win, but I'd say who's going to top 10? I'll take Zalatoris over Rose any day.
Nah, okay. Whatever.
It's different opinion. Yeah, it's fine.
Usay's in 10%. Jason Day, I got 0. And then, yeah, Justin Rose. I didn't go into this day thinking I was going to have high web acceptance and high Justin Rose, but here I am, and I got it.
So I've got no one here until Harris English. So Jason Day, Justin Rose, Matthew Wolf, they're all fades for me.
What happened, and I think you'll see this trend as we go down, is I leaned on guys that have traveled around the world for decades and proved that they can play anywhere. And you'll see that with all the rest of my plays. I spread it up.
All of these guys have traveled for decades and proven this.
No, Zalatoris is not.
No, I'm just saying that you're saying that all of these guys have for decades been traveling the world proving this, or are any of your plays potentially not decades long pros? Just real quick.
That's 2010.
Just real quick, Mike Rommel. I don't like Cameron Smith. I'm a fan of. I just went totally away from that price range. I have no one in the high 8s. So I don't have him. I think, did you say you had him, or is he a fade for you, Adam?
No, he's a complete. Thank you, PY. Rose has twice as likely chance to win as Zalatoris.
I feel like we need a higher finish bet between Zalatoris and Rose.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, a
6-pack of local beer.
Okay, sounds good.
Nice.
You've frozen a hilarious spot there. Okay, so
maybe I should be upgrading my internet as my.
Okay, so the rest of yours, Rose, you faded Wolf.
Yeah, he has not traveled the world for a decade and
he's barely been alive for decades.
He's a
okay, so now we're back into. So I have essentially half my pool. I've got 10 guys at 92 or above.
Yeah.
I've got those 3 guys in the 8, and then I have 10 guys, 11 guys, 13 guys, 11 guys here in the 75 through 64K range.
Through 64. Okay, interesting.
With the gross majority of them being low sevens.
Let's talk about these two guys at 7,500. Where did you end up there?
Harris English 30%, Sergio Garcia 0.
Christian Cole, I don't know if you just popped into the chat right now, but I'm talking about guys who've traveled the world. I'm going to talk about Shane Lowry in a second. Absolutely, I completely agree with you. He's getting no respect. He's getting no respect. Sorry, I missed that on English.
Well, speaking of giving no respect to people who have traveled the world for decades playing, I've gone 30% Harris English, 0% Sergio.
I have 30% Harris English, exact same. Craig, I don't know. I have an illness right now. This illness is going to stay with me until at least the end of the players.
I think it's so funny because like we literally have a bet at the Masters where I have Sergio and you have Jordan Spieth from last year when I said I was all over Sergio and no one else was was on board, but now you just can't get away from Sergio.
I got 50%, man.
50%. Oh man.
I don't even know.
Are you going to be able to afford to buy me a 6-pack?
I don't know.
I don't know how you got 50%.
So,
and sorry, but you do have Harris. You didn't fade Harris.
I got 30% Harris. So I have a ton of ownership right around here. So what happened is, I think Craig and I both hand build our lineups on Excel. So there's like a column. This is a 20 max. I have 1 to 20, and I have a bunch of ticks earlier in Sergio, and I can see my thought process is like, oh shoot, and then a bunch of Harris, and then back to Sergio.
Man, I just don't know how you would get 50%. I mean, I don't mind him as an upside play.
It's all upside. I'm chasing.
It's all upside. There's no downside.
There's no downside. I'm chasing a GPP. I mean, like, he's a great ball striker. He was all the things I liked before last week. He's been okay. A win in the last 6 months. A win at the Masters. Wins in Florida. Like, he's one of the best ball strikers in the past 3 months, 6 months, year. Like, no matter what you measure, he's one of the best ball strikers. If he can just make a couple putts, he should top 20. And if not, he's one of these guys too that can go tied for 20th and be 10th in DK scoring.
Yeah, I mean,
he got an eagle on 10th at Riviera from like the 60-yard bunker. There's no way to way to keep it on the green. I still haven't seen the video. Did he dunk it?
Me neither. No, I haven't. I haven't seen it. But that's exactly like the reason. Like, what is that ball doing? Like, was it just barely rolling into the cup? No, I feel like that thing must have hit that flag hard.
I don't know. Ray, I appreciate that. I might need that 10 cents after this week.
Okay, so anyway, so you're going all in on Sergio. It sounds like maybe not all in, 50% in. Harris English, I still think his price just seems low to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Mark Leishman. So Robbie Mack, I'm heavy on. Leishman, I faded. I don't know if you are there.
Robbie Mack, you said you're heavy?
Yes.
Yeah, I got 25%.
60%. Or sorry, 30%.
60%. Oof. Yeah, I really like him. We've been talking about him for months. 8 straight top 30s. Everything's there. I think, like you said, he's just made that next step in his career. Other thing with the Euros, I don't know. I think there's a little bit a Ryder Cup thing. It's like they're trying to get all those.
Oh, points. I think there's it's tons of competition to make the Ryder Cup.
William Poulter, Peters, whoever else in Puerto Rico. Like they don't normally play Puerto Rico.
With their captain Patrick Harrington. So and then I have tons of plays down here. So do you just want me to run through them and then you can tell me who you got after?
Yeah, one Peck. I don't follow all my field because it's too much. But if
you follow like the whole field 50%. Of golf, and then you're like, hey, I got that guy. I got that guy.
If I have somebody 50% or I mention them on one of the shows, I usually try to see what they're doing.
Closely. Yeah. Okay, so Leash, I faded. Robbie Mack, I'm
Sorry,
on.
I did get Legion one lineup, but that's kind of neither here or there. So
Do
yeah.
you have like an Aussie lineup with Scott and Leishman
Oh
and
no,
Cam
maybe I
Smith?
will.
I might make an Aussie lineup, but now that I have to change things with Cantlay. So Ortiz, I played. Bubba, I played. Palmer, I played.
You
Shane
played Bubba,
Lowry, I
hey?
faded. Bez, I played. Kokrak, fade. And then Horschel and Kisner are both plays. So
Sorry.
I went sort of heavy on these like Ortiz. I think is going to be underowned, undervalued because 30. What was his ownership last week? It was high, and they got
Yeah,
burned.
yeah, yeah.
So I think there'll be a lot of people moving away from him. I don't want to do that. I'm on there still. Bubba
So
Watson is a high volatility play to me. I think
yeah, I
there's
like it.
upside and downside, but it's a no cut event. You got to take
Yeah,
shots. I think 7,300. I think there's few people down here that have as much potential win equity as Bubba.
this could be a Bubba track, and we just don't know it
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. Well, and I think he does play well in Florida. I think he does play well on Bermuda. So we'll
Yeah.
see. It's a shot. Ryan Palmer, I think, is just undervalued. I think he
Yeah.
does well in no cut. Shane Lowry, I didn't get there. I had to make cuts.
Okay, so if we're stopping there for a sec, Ortiz, I agree. I got 10%. I didn't get, but I like the pivot from last week where people got burned. I really like that. Takes us to Palmer, so that means I faded Bubba Watson.
Hmm.
Bubba Watson was a tough fade. He was kind of like fifth but then I didn't like who I got on my sixth, or like it just didn't mesh well with kind of the lineups that I was building.
Yeah,
It didn't fit. But I completely I like your reasoning behind that. And then Ryan Palmer, completely agree. I got 30% Ryan Palmer. I'm quite high on him. I think like you said, just a pure value. And then my favorite play, again, a guy I turned to late, like Webb Simpson, like Justin Rose. I turned late to Shane Lowry. I got 25% Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry, I feel like unknown track. He's greater on the greens, like good hands. He can just, I don't know. Like we're talking about the Open champion here at 7,200 when like people are talking about Palmer, for rightfully so. People are talking about Bez with 2 wins. People are talking about Horschel. Nobody's talking about Shane Lowry. And I mean, if we're just putting an even field, I really like his chances putting around the green. All those things just kind of hang in there. Like it wouldn't surprise me just to see his name hovering in that top 10 near the top of the leaderboard.
yeah. I mean, this is the problem though and this is what I say where I hate these fields and like I hate the no cut event because there you can justify so many plays down here. Uh,
Yeah.
and so like really I like Palmer over Lowry and I like so I have tons of ownership here. I've got tons of ownership on Palmer, Bez, and Billy Horschel. All have 30%. So Lowry
Yeah.
was one that didn't make the cut. Chris Bazudenhout, I spoke about on our sleeper show,
Yeah.
so you can get a deeper dive there if you want.
Yeah. I only
Yeah,
got 5% there. I think he is being talked about a little bit. A little bit less proven, but I like him. I like the golfer. I mean, he's been lighting it up
yeah,
in South Africa. He's been playing well in Middle East. So I get it, but I just kind of went Billy Horschel and Kevin Kisner, and I actually went. You kind of convinced me in Billy Horschel. I went pretty heavy. I went 30% Billy Horschel,
yeah, me too. So 30% on, or sorry, not on both him and Kisner, but I do have him and Kisner.
and then I got Kisner and
Kokrak
Palmer.
was a fade for me.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Now I'm assuming you pushed all in on Lee Westwood as well
I didn't. So
to
okay,
carry on with your Euro your Euro heavy ownership style.
he does fit. I'm just counting here. I have 7 plays in the 6,000s. My lowest is 6,400.
Sorry, say that again.
7 plays in the
Mm.
sixes in the 6K. My lowest is 6,400.
Okay, so I've got four. Just real quick, Steven Davidson will get to Van Rooyen here, I think. Who was it? Someone had brought up McElroy. Oh, Tom. I might end up. I had gone to full fade on McIlroy. Adam hadn't. With Cantlay pulling out, I might end up shuffling ownership over there. And what up, Warbird? We'll get you for the spicy takes here in a second.
Yeah,
So do you want to run through here? I've got 4, so maybe I'll go through my 6
yeah,
case, and then
yeah,
you can tell me
yeah.
if you got the same. So, and this is where I potentially will be FOMOing because I had to make hard cuts down here, but I've got Abe Answer at 68. I've got Lanto or Lanto. I still don't know on that one at 67.
Yeah.
Munoz 65 and Brendan Todd at 64.
Interesting.
Any overlap?
Yeah, we've got some overlap. I'm surprised I didn't convince you of Cantor on our sleeper show, but I'll take personal offense to that later.
So the ones who are the hardest for me, I think, and we'll see if these are the guys you have. So someone brought up Woodland in the Discord. I don't mind Woodland. I stayed away. Kevin Na, I think there's upside potential with Kevin Na. There always is. But then Højgaard was hard. Højgaard and Cantor just for their pure like young can put up scores. I think both of them I'll probably get to in showdown plays.
Yeah.
Then Mackenzie Hughes was another one who I am potentially going to be FOMOing on.
Yeah, Mackenzie Hughes is less proven though. So my 64 play was Brendan Todd. I have him in only one. I guess I'll go from the top down as well. Gary Woodland, for those things you mentioned, veteran, price too low. We have seen, even though his score there, we sent it in the Discord, his ball striking stats last week were actually great.
It was just
They were
putting
fantastic.
that let him
It was
down.
all putting. I went 15% there, so I like Gary Woodland. Kevin Na, I completely agree. He's traveled, he's played well.
He might be my biggest
But
FOMO.
I only have him in one.
Okay.
Just kind of fit him in one. Abe Answer, I agree. I got 10%. Lanto, I agree. I got 10%. Rasmus Højgaard, I only got in one. I think he'll be maybe one of the chalkier ones because upside, unknown. People think they're being sneaky, but it's actually popular. I don't know, something like that. And then Cantor, I got 15% at 66.
So no Thomas Dietrich. I thought you were high on him.
No, I just said that he won, or he got D3 here.
But in previous Euro tournaments, I thought you'd been high on him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a talent. I think another guy at 66. I don't know how ownership will fall, but it won't be as high as Cantor, I don't think.
We've got our Scandinavian death metal play of Højgaard to think about too. So Steven Davidson had brought up EVR. I looked at him. I do think so. I think he might be higher owned for what he should be, I think, is my potential concern. And that's just because I think there's going to be so many people that try to cram in as much up high as they can. And they'll come down there and he'll be like the only name that they feel like they have any comfort with. So that's sort of why I stayed away from him. Sami Välimäki I also considered, but...
Oh, yeah, you love him.
Ultimately, we don't have Euro history in our recent results here, but he hasn't had like if he was still in the same form he was in the fall, he just hasn't been playing as well of recent.
Right.
Victor Perez, I thought about him quite seriously. Ultimately, I don't know if, and I haven't looked into this deep enough. I don't know if we've seen him play that well overseas, like in the States yet. So that's one of my hesitancies with him.
Miscut at the U.S. Open, T22 at the PGA. A couple top 10
This is such a different, like South Florida Bermuda course. It's so different from what is it called? TPC.
Harding Park.
Out in San Fran.
Yeah, I mean, I've been an EVR backer like I have Sergio lately. But I've gotten stung by EVR too much, so I completely on him.
So in terms of how I kind of went about this, like really, I've got tons of guys above 92, and then I've got tons of guys between 75 and 64, and then I've got those 3 low 8s that I used to kind of manipulate salaries to make sure I was getting the most value out of it, and really. I felt like that second tier after those top guys, I felt like that's where I had to really give up
Yeah.
potential value, because either they just come out and win it, or they get
Yeah.
top 5 or top 10s, and I hope that I have the winner and then the other guys who are in the top 5 and top 10s.
When you look at your DraftKings, yours are going to be more tightly clustered wherever it is, hopefully in the green. Mine are going to be more spread out, and I'm completely fine with that. I have spread my notes. I I think your strategy is completely valid. I think so. We kind of talk about it, but I think the area here that's going to win or lose to me is 72 to 68. I think that's
I would
where
extend that a bit. I
up to
Well,
75
obviously for
maybe.
you 75, because half your lineups are Sergio. No, I guess more than that, because you Sergio and Harris English make up probably a good majority of your lineups. But yeah,
A few
really,
of them.
really to me, there's going to be a lot of people who have the winner, like regardless of who it
Yeah,
is, just
yeah,
because of how small the field is, and how small, how focused ownership will be. So it's going to be like, how do you flesh out the back end of your lineup? And that's where I just found that if I stayed away from that sort of next tier of player,
yeah,
and then focused on having the bottom end of my lineup as strong as possible,
yeah.
and hope that those guys pay off, essentially.
Yeah, and that's what we kind of talk about in our Discord. If I'm going, DJ and I'm going Hovland, guys that I think will be very popular this week, or Hatton. When I get down to this low sevens, that's when I like to pivot to Shane Lowry,
Yeah.
or in the 6-6 instead of going Rasmus or Dietrich, I go Cantor. That total ownership being under 100%, whatever it is. However, I I
So
don't
what's
know.
your lowest, what's your most balanced? Like, what's the lowest place you started?
The lowest place I started.
I
Uh,
started one with Hatton.
yeah, I started one with Hatton. I started one. No, I went lower. I started one with Hovland.
Whew.
Spicy.
Did you end up with Jason Day? That was another one that I actually. So when I said Oosthuizen and Day to me both have quite a bit of upside potential. But I don't have either of them.
I like I like the play because I don't think he'll be highly owned at all. I think he's really good around the greens, out of bunkers.
Yeah, so I would encourage you guys to have a look at the course too on that no lane up video, because that's the type of thing that does make me think that Jason Day, like, it is going to
Right.
be. The thing that I don't quite know though is, like, it's definitely going to be an approach around the green course.
Yeah,
I think I don't know how much, and they really can't, I don't think, do justice to how much distance is going to potentially make, because distance can make such a big difference on approach. If you're 30 yards closer,
for sure.
doesn't matter how good you are at approach, someone's going to be better than you if they're 30 yards closer.
Yeah.
And so I don't mind a Jason Day play. I didn't get there
Yeah.
myself,
No,
but I don't
I
mind it.
completely agree. He might be one of my bigger regrets, because I like in that range, especially,
Listen,
pivoting.
Adam, we all know what your biggest regret is going to be.
Zalatoris, B
The guy
Rose.
that's never started a WGC event before.
Yeah, and I'm giving you the higher price guy. I feel like I'm being
Oh,
generous.
except with the lower win probability.
Who knows where POI is getting that from? I don't know. They're very exact numbers, so I'm not going to question them on it. They seem Sergi. Oh
Yeah, I
no,
want everyone to be ready
I love that.
with your Sergio takes when he face plants this week, and Adam is.
That's fine. That's
Yeah, when that's the thing, is it's essentially a low probability, high upside.
that's another thing too. I'm telling you why I'm playing him. You have 0%. It comes up to the individual. If you think, hey, Adam's points
Man,
are
I'll
complete
have egg on my
BS.
face when he top fives this week.
I mean, yeah, it's just it's just what I think it's the reason and how I think it might all come together in the end. But um, I take your own takes. Like that's
Yeah.
that's what you got to do. Stand with conviction. Plant your flag. I don't know Spanish, Greg. Do you know any Spanish? You spent some time. You must know some Spanish.
Well, go with God, my friend. Something with
Mi
God, my friend.
amigo.
I want to say it's go with God. Via. Um, it's been a while since I spent some time.
Lots of prayers.
I spent some time in South America and in Mexico, but I never. Languages are not my thing. Go with God, friend. See, yeah, see, I got it. I got it.
Craig, you'll be excited to know I actually officially started watching Outlander for the first time ever last
Nice.
night. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a Bobby Mack Scottish thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling extra Bobby Mack this week.
Yeah. Well, it's just a good thing you didn't start with the books because they are ridiculously long. But yeah. Anyways, anything else? Any other questions out there? If not, I think we're gonna call it because I need to go find out what kind of beer I'm gonna get Adam to buy me.
Oh, wow. I did not think that's how you're going to end that. Interesting. It means Keegan Bradley sucks. Ooh, ouch.
Yikes!
Ouch on the.
Talk
Oh,
about
anything
kicking a
Puerto
guy when
Rico?
he's down.
We
Oh yeah,
talked
Puerto
Puerto
Rico. I don't know
Rico.
if anyone has any questions. I don't actually have anything up here for Puerto Rico. Um, I've got my ticket in. I just did a single entry. Feeling good about it.
Yeah, same here.
Feeling good about my single entry over on FanDuel. Um, Obviously, you know who I have plugged in.
I like that I'll be able to wake up
8,800.
tomorrow. What's that?
Will Zalatoris is 8,800. Just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I like it Palmer compared to those guys where he is on DraftKings,
Yeah.
which makes him a great deal in DraftKings. Oh yeah, I can wake up tomorrow and half my field will already be busted in my single entry, so that's cool. For the Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, join our Discord. Great chat there. We're probably going to talk about Cantlay and all that tomorrow morning,
Oh,
tonight.
now I got to do work fixing my Cantley lineups.
Yeah, if you Cantlay, we got to figure that all out together. So yeah.
It probably means Bryson's ownership's going to go up. So that's something to take into consideration. But yeah, anyways, good luck this week, guys. We'll see you. Hopefully, we'll see you in the showdown chats or in Discord. And if not, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, good luck. See you guys.
Take care.